and we have a brief look into a new electronic weapon that is being officially used against the young of UK society. Before we go to Mike Eastwood's report, I would just like to mention something about the Edge's news page. In the top corner there you will see the link News Hotline. Here you can send us some updates, some news, or if you have a pressing story you want to get to the general population, just click that and get in touch with us. This will come to the Edge's news desk. The news page is usually updated by Edge Correspondents, but we will also put your information on that section. If you want to get in touch with any of the Edge correspondents, just go to the Edge's homepage at theedgeam.com and look for their bios link. Don't forget you can also become an Edge correspondent yourself. Just look for that link. We are looking for Edge correspondents under the Edge's main media player on the homepage. Now here's Mike Eastwood with his latest news headline report.
I'm Mike Eastwood, news correspondent for the Edge radio broadcast, and here are the latest headlines. Secret British aerospace papers reveal threats from a Saudi prince. Saudi Arabia's rulers threaten to make it easier for terrorists to attack Britain unless corruption investigations into their arms deals were halted, according to court proceedings revealed yesterday. Previous secret files describing how investigators were told they faced another 7/7 and the loss of British lives on British streets if they passed on with their inquiries. Prince Bandar, the head of the Saudi National Security Council and son of the Crown Prince, was alleged in court to be the man behind the threats, to hold back information about suicide bombers and terrorists. He faces accusations that he himself took more than $1 billion in secret payments from the arms company British Aerospace. He was accused in yesterday's High Court hearings of flying to London in December 2006 and uttering threats which made the Prime Minister, Tony Blair, force an end to the Serious Fraud Office investigation into bribery allegations involving Bandar and his family. The threats halted the fraud inquiry, but triggered an international outcry, with allegations that Britain had broken international anti-bribery treaties. It was said that Tony Blair wrongly influenced due legal process when he used pressure to end the Serious Fraud Office's investigation into alleged bribery and corruption involving arms deals between BAE Systems and Saudi Arabia. When he was Prime Minister, Mr Blair stepped over the boundaries of what was permissible and interfered in a highly sensitive criminal investigation because of threats by the Saudis. This was claimed by the barrister representing two anti-corruption campaign groups challenging the decision to drop the case. The High Court challenge centres on the decision in December 2006 announced by the Attorney General Goldsmith to end the Serious Fraud Office's investigation into the £43 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia in 1985, which provided Tornado and Hawk jets and other military equipment. At the time, the government had used arguments about national security to justify the decision. But this cannot be surprising, as Tony Blair does what he wants and not what the public wants. As this next report highlights, as the government official who wrote the first draft of the dodgy dossier that helped propel Britain into the war with Iraq admits today we were wrong. John Williams, a former Foreign Office aide, said last night that publications of his document will expose how members of Tony Blair's team were locked in a mindset that made military action inevitable. The dossier, which will be published this week after years of resistance from its publication in 2002. The Williams draft was written in September 2002, only days after Tony Blair, then Prime Minister, announced that the government would publish a dossier of intelligence showing that Saddam Hussein threatened the world with his weapons. The draft was not disclosed at the Hutton inquiry until the death in 2003 of the former Iraqi arms inspector Dr. David Kelly, whose death is highly suspicious due to claims of murder by the secret services. Dr. Kelly had suggested the dossier was exaggerated to justify the UK joining the 2003 invasion. Mr. Williams, press secretary to 3 foreign secretaries, said that the dossier would show how wrong the Blair team was about Saddam Hussein's alleged possession of weapons of mass destruction. Mr. Williams said the argument was that here was someone who had been known to possess illegal weapons. We regarded him as a threat. He added, the document will show the mindset that everyone had. It was wrong and we know that now, he said. Ministers have insisted the dossier was entirely the work of the intelligence agencies, but Mr. Williams' role remains unclear. Mr. Williams denies that he came up with the claim that Saddam could have launched a weapon of mass destruction and strike the UK within 45 minutes. Also in the news this week, there's been some more deaths at Bridgend. In Bridgend in Wales, in the UK, there has been more suicides. The latest, 2 youngsters who were cousins hanged themselves within hours of each other. Friends of the 2 young cousins from Bridgend, who died just hours apart after apparently hanging themselves after using Bebo networking site, have pleaded for an end to these deaths. 16 youngsters at Bridgend have taken their own lives in the past year. A young person is dying on average every 2 weeks in Bridgend, said Bridgend MP Marilyn Moon in a House of Commons debate on suicide prevention yesterday. South Wales Police is investigating the 16 apparent suicides in Bridgend since January 2007, in which people aged between 15 and 27 have hung themselves. The police force is due to release the details of its review of 13 of the deaths this week. A special task force has been set up in Bridgend involving police, social services, health and educational officials, and the Office of the Children's Commissioner for Wales has called for an inquiry, plus a hotline where parents can access guidance on how to help potential suicide victims. Paul Stockton of the Samaritans revealed the charity's branches across Wales have reported a high rise in calls from under 25s. The apparent copycat deaths have left families reeling with grief in Bridgend. Police have warned parents to keep a close eye on their teenage children amid fears that social networking sites like Facebook may have played a part in this tragic chain. A couple of children have survived their suicides though. One, a girl of 15, was on a life support after her family found her before it was too late, and the other, another 15-year-old, survived after cutting her wrists, but she was later released from hospital. These are very strange cases, but the question is, what is going on at Bridgend, and what is making these young people take their lives? President Bush was also in the news this week, saying that torture is justified because of the London 7/7 bombings. In an interview with the BBC, he said information obtained under torture for alleged terrorists have helped save lives.